Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Alex and Panda Revisit Steven Universe. I'm Trans Panda, currently fronting Roxas, and that's Roxas from Kingdom Hearts number 13, and this is Alex.
Hello, everyone.
So, today's episode was Season 1, Episode 10, Steven's Lion. I don't know what he's lying about, but we'll just have to get into the details as we go in.
We'll make him do the polygraph test. We'll get the truth out of that snarly little guy.
That's right, we'll test his blood, uh, heartbeat, or whatever the heck that. I genuinely don't know how those work. Probably because they don't. Anyway. Let's see here. So, we start on a scenic view of the desert, where sand towers are being just kind of built nonsensically in space and just collapsing into sand without any rhyme or reason. The crystal gems are there because it's a gem that's basically gone haywire trying to make a castle, but it doesn't know what it's doing anymore, so it's just making things at random. Staircases leading to nowhere, no roofs, towers, but no entrances, stuff like that. Uh,
Yes.
because of that, we see another moment of Steven not really taking a mission that seriously. He's trying to do the thing where, like, you're dehydrated in the desert in a movie or something, and that's uh, basically all he's really doing here. Before the crystal gems hear something and tell Steven to just like stay there until the damage is done. And as Steven is hanging out to cool down, for some reason in the sun, very clearly and obviously still in the sunlight in the desert, um, Stephen comes across a large creature, a lion of sorts, with glowing white eyes, but sometimes not glowing white eyes. And he's initially incredibly frightened by it until it just sort of walks up and doesn't do anything and just calmly stands there, even if Stephen tries to start annoying it. And Stephen finds out it's a friendly lion completely colored pink, and it is just an animal. It's a character, but it is definitely contextually just an animal. And the crystal gems come back, and they get the desert gem that's just been messing around, and they go like, "What's that?" It says, "It's okay. He's
Let me stop you
fine."
right here very, very
Hmm.
briefly.
No, no, go
It is
ahead.
it is important to note that every single animal we have seen so far has been normal colored. Even the cat altars on Steven in cat fingers were normal colored. This is the very first instance of an animal being colored in a color it would not be seen in nature.
That's a good point, and it obviously differs from the gem creatures that we've seen so far, which are much more alien in structure and nature. This is a much more traditional Earth lion that, for some reason, is just colored pink. Now where was I again? Oh yes, Stephen has the bright idea of showing how Stephen wants to be best friends with this lion, and to show the crystal gems how good their relationship is already. He decides to try to stick his mouth inside of Lion's. Try to stick his head inside of Lion's mouth. Uh, Obviously, it goes super super great, and the crystal gems just decide to just leave it
Kill
behind
it.
and no, actually. They don't decide to kill it at all. They just kind of leave it in the desert, which for most lions I guess would be killing it. But regardless, lions not really desert folk from what
I
I've
like have
heard.
to hold back because as someone who's seen the series, there's a lot of jokes that I want to make that I can't right now.
And we all respect your dedication to the bit, which I'm going to pretend is a joke itself.
Yes.
And then we just cut back, and because Amethyst is the one who managed to accomplish the deed, she decides to not bubble it and basically at home just make kind of like a pillow fort with it on top. And all we know about it is that we're not supposed to let it touch sand of any kind. But at that point, Steven finds out that they were followed back home by the lion and it's just scratching at their front door on the beach house. Stephen, interpreting this as his super best friend forever, coming to be there forever and ever, decides to take advantage of this opportunity and have great times with his new best friend, such as trying to do a fall trust in the worst way humanly possible by Stephen jumping off of a cliff and asking Lion to, and just standing there going like, okay, I'm gonna jump. You gotta catch me, lion. I'm going to leap off of this cliff right now, and you have to jump. You have to catch me, lion. You have to do it right now. And it always cuts back to lion because it is an animal that is not strongly thinking about anything or cares. And that's basically the montage that goes into it. Steven tries to play catch with it, doesn't do it because it is a wild animal, and then Steven tries to take it to go eat pizza at basically a pizza place with an emphasis on like fish toppings because it's a cat, and it also it just walks away and everyone thinks Steven is lion.
Ha ha
Ha
ha
ha ha ha. But it's revealed that Lion is only there for the gem that Amethyst still hasn't bubbled yet. Stephen, taking this as a moment of betrayal from the wild animal, to tells him to basically go keep it and throws it onto the beach, which then it immediately does what it's supposed to do and starts making nonsensical structures again, creating havoc for everyone. Stephen then goes to try to get the gem back to stop that, but finds that he can't, and Lion comes in to help save the day with Stephen on his back, gets the gems, and then they bubble it. And then they just decide to keep the lion, I guess. And that's the end of the episode.
Jill, but what about the part where Lion started standing on his hind legs and said, Stephen, there are so many important things that you will do in your life.
For some reason, the way you're saying that makes me think that it's animated in like Family Guy style, and suddenly it's like very stiff animation, which doesn't fit the style. Maybe go animate, you know?
Brian Griffin voice. Hey, Stephen, have you maybe tried converting to atheism? I heard it's a pretty hot ideology right now. Okay.
Well then. Well, this was like a fine episode. It kind of introduced the I hate this. It's weird to call this the marketable plushie episode because I don't actually remember there being any plushies of Lion from Steven Universe.
I don't
So I don't.
remember Steven Universe merchandise even being advertised. But then again, this was it. This show started airing around the time I stopped watching television.
That's a good point, actually. I saw Steven Universe merchandise, but it was like the corner that Toys R Us clearly doesn't care about. Which says a
Yeah,
lot because Toys R Us doesn't care about Toys R Us in general.
they don't
Um,
even have locations in the United States anymore. It's
nope.
funny because like Steven Universe is like the last show that I saw new episodes of on TV, and then at a certain point, I just started downloading them illegally.
Remember, kids, always download television shows without your parents' permission. You
Oh,
could
the problem
you could
was
hold me
because I
legally
stopped
responsible
watching.
for this.
Yeah, the problem was I just stopped. I just stopped watching TV, so I didn't have any way to watch the episodes. If Cartoon Network had a streaming service or any, like the problem is Like, I just didn't have any easy way to watch these episodes. It was very, very hard in the situation I was in the house that I was in, to even be a fan to support the show.
That is a good point. With the internet, it's a very odd. It was a very odd period. I don't think we've exactly gone into a better period with how streaming is right now, but
We
I
haven't.
yeah, but we do distinctly remember back in the day that, like, yeah, we were watching all of the episodes, but because we didn't have a cable TV service, because we were a young, like, person, like, just going into college or something, that, like, why bother with a TV subscription and all that kind of jazz? I don't know. But technically we were a little off topic there, but, well, yeah, with this episode. I guess it kind of shows how Steven is a bit naive in the face of many things, because Lion, the big joke with Lion is that it's just an animal, man. Like, it's a little bit smarter than your average lion, but it's still just an animal. Like, Steven has to make it talk, quote unquote, by, like, moving its lips and going, "Oh, I love you." And that is funny. That is funny, and it is funny how Amethyst, like, eyes sparkle and go, "I love you too," or something like that. That's always, like, cute and charming
I
and
think
stuff.
that was actually one of the funniest jokes in the show so far.
You know what? Good for Amethyst. Good for her. But
We'll get to
yeah,
her.
we don't know much about Lion yet, other than we now have the designated pet character of the series. Is it fair to call that an archetype? Just like
I think that's fair, yeah. I think that's very
the anim
fair.
yeah, the animal companion of sorts. And this is speaking as a writer right now. You only get one or two, and if you go farther than that, you're starting to really push it.
Listen to Jill, she's very smart. Listen to Roxas, she's just as smart.
Yeah. Oh, also as Roxas, I tend to go by Zay Zem with an X because it's funny.
They're
Uh,
very smart.
very smart. I'm number 13 from Kingdom Hearts, and I'm the only one who gets to say that. By that I
I
mean,
don't know anything about Kingdom Hearts. I don't get the joke.
well, that is very off topic, but I'll just say the number 13 is very important, and I am the 13th altar to form in this system. So it's very ironic.
What a coincidence.
What a no, really, it actually is a really big coincidence. Anyway, kind of getting off topic a lot in this episode so far, but that might be just saying how straightforward the plot of this episode is and how difficult it is to really make a long-standing commentary on it. There was an interesting bit, if you noticed, Alex, where Amethyst very casually dropped the line that gems don't need to sleep,
Yeah.
which shows that they are on a different level of mortality than basically everyone else. I guess even Steven as well, considering that he still, like, actively sleeps and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay, here are my notes for this episode. This desert will appear again. This is important for all of you listening in who have not watched this show yet. When this desert returns, I want you
In the
all
next
to
Avengers.
in the next Avengers. I want you all to go to the comments of the video, and then you're gonna say "desert returned" in all caps.
And
Do
you're going to
that.
spell it wrong on purpose for no reason.
Also, spell it wrong. Yes. Okay. Lion's theme happens immediately when the character shows up, which I think is the only time in Steven Universe that this happens, or at least it's the first notable instance of it. Because when a character has a theme, if you've noticed, it does. It usually happens a little bit after their introduction, but this is the first time that we get it just straight off the bat. That didn't even happen with Connie. That's kind of sad.
I didn't personally notice this at first, which we were quite happy to for you to point that out. Your resident hard of hearing system appreciates such things. I know I'm the one currently fronting, but I also mentioned that near the end of the episode, during the big action scene, it it really distinctly sounded like Kingdom Hearts music, and that's very
Yeah.
hard to like specify in words, but there's sort of a very whimsy, chimey vibe to some Kingdom Hearts music that really seemed to be embodied in that point. Yeah, no, that's all I
Mm,
had to say about music in this episode.
my third and probably my most controversial note: fat phobia.
Which is it I didn't say it at the time, but I thought it was really interesting that you were bringing it up at this point. I sort of get it. I do kind of get it, but I was
I
just
brought it
kind of
up a little bit before, but I think this is around the episode where it starts becoming prominent in a way that you can't ignore.
I guess that's fair. So this is mostly in the lieu of Amethyst, yes?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if what I mentioned before, but yes, up to this point, Amethyst has sort of been designated as the yeah, I think it's fair to call her the lazy member of the Crystal Gems, where
She
she's
is
reckless, she's
she has
gross.
basically been designated by the plot to be the comic relief, for better or for worse.
Yeah, she is usually the not always, of course, but the punching bag entity, I think, is what it's referred to often in circles like this. And in this episode, yeah, we do have to comment on the fact that Amethyst is just weirdly not bubbling because she forgets about it. Amethyst is just getting launched into the stratosphere versus all the other crystal gems. She's usually the one getting like pratfalls and stuff like that. She's just sleeping all of the time, like half of the episode, basically, when she's trying to watch a dangerous artifact or something.
She's the only
Eh,
gem to have a messy room.
that's also true. Although Garnet hasn't been given a room, so I guess that's a step up in some cases.
Well, the thing is, when we were watching the episode with the Together breakfast and she used her gem to summon a room, it went to the magma. It went to the magma room, which
That's true.
highly implies to me that that is her room, and she chose to eschew having a room entirely for the functionality of the crystal gems.
I see. Yeah. It's like me converting our room into a snack pantry, I guess.
And there's also another thing that heavily goes into why Garnet's room is that way that we can't talk about yet into the season finale.
Perfectly fair and understandable. But yes, I guess it's not amazingly prevalent, but it is starting to yeah, no that's fair. It's starting to hit that point where it's starting to become like slightly grating how Amethyst is sort of being designated as this character, which is I don't know exactly how to describe this. Just I don't know, the archetypal fat character of the group, which is interesting because she isn't really drawn as fat. She's just drawn as curvy. She doesn't have a stomach, you know?
She doesn't have a stomach.
Granted, a lot of cartoonists don't draw their fat characters with stomachs because they somehow think that's good character design to always draw them without one. But I'm going to say that I'm putting a pin in this for later when it becomes more and more prominent. But at the moment, I will note that, yeah, it is starting to become a little grating. Like at the end of the episode where Garnet like, when Pearl said, "Are we really going to keep the lion?" And Garnet says, "We kept Amethyst." Like,
That is,
it's it's just kind
well,
of rude to say to
it's
the
not
most.
just an extremely bad thing to say, it also happens to be a foreshadowing for a later event that makes this line even worse. Like, that future episode makes this line really, really bad.
Yeah, in the immediate context, we'll see with how it goes. At the moment, I am getting a little tired of the gags that just keep kind of doing this over and over, but we'll see how it goes.
Last note
Uh,
is that this is Steven's first official win.
it's interesting that you say that, but like I see what you mean. Where basically the crystal gems weren't even remotely involved. They only got there at like basically the last second, and like it showed them unable to do anything.
Like, I
But they
realize Steven stripping himself naked and blah 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 is like somewhat similar to what happened in this episode. But I feel comfortable saying this episode is more Steven's first official win because because more of the circumstances surrounding this episode. Like, he was not expecting Lion to be a supportive player. And Steven takes his clothes off and fights Frybo. It's it's a little less ambiguous as to whether that plan is going to work. I realize I'm nit. This is basically one giant nitpick. Um,
well,
do I
yes,
consider Stevens? Do I consider that to be his first official win? Not really,
and that's fair.
and it's just more. It's more that the desert sand is in the circumstances of this episode, Lion did not have to do what he did. It is, as of this point in time, purely coincidence that he showed up, was a major supportive player. At the same time, Lion could not do this by himself. So this is like
Mhm.
Steven's very first official win. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to say one last little note that I did, and it was when Steven went to the pizza place. I did admittedly find the jokes there pretty funny, where, uh, and this is kind of the good way to write the Ronaldo character, is that he just like spits out soda when Steven says he's eating for two, and he goes, "Steven's pregnant," where
Oh,
that's
yeah, that was really good.
that's like a stupid conspiracy theorist, but like in a funny way, where he latches onto the wrong conspiracy to like, and again, that's a funny thing to do. I love the idea of a conspiracy theorist who latches onto the clearly wrong things of this universe, despite it not even being hidden in any sight, or like he claims to be invisible, and he seems to still like believe it when he like hears the clarification in the lion is when like lion just walked away and embarrassed him. He just like huffs back into the pizza parlor going like, I bet you're not even pregnant. It's like, yeah,
God.
man. And that is genuinely funny. I did genuinely like it. um no, yeah, that's all we got on
That's all we
the
got.
episode. I did think it had like a number of good funny jokes, and the amethyst thing is more of a, what do you call it, the more doing it over again over the series more
The
than this
repetitiveness.
yes, more than this individual instance. And yeah, that's all I got.
All right, so that was Steven's lion. Maybe one day you'll tell the truth.
Very sad, very sad. But
All
I guess
right.
that's it, everyone. I'm Chance Panda. You can find me at ChancePanda1 on Tumblr.
Hi, I'm Alex. You don't want my social media. I'm kind of crabby.
And that's the episode. Tune in next time. Thank you for existing.
Good night, everybody.
If I could begin to be half of what you think of me, I could do about anything. I could even learn how to love like you.